Welcome everyone to the 203rd Celebrity Synastry chart reading, where we will be looking into Jonathan Bailey and Matt Bomer. If you don't know me, hi, I'm Madeline and it is so nice to meet you. On this channel, I look at the dynamic between two celebrities using astrology. For those new and returning, I take notes on a synastry chart looking at the personal planet signs aspects and if birth times available house overlays. I share these notes and add my extra insights and interpretations along the way. So if that sounds good to you, subscribe and click the bell to join us twice a week, and let's get right into this one. Starting off the sun, we have Jonathan's sun in Taurus and Matt's sun in Libra. These are both ruled by the planet Venus. It's an easy relationship and they're a socially popular couple. Obviously, because I believe they were in a TV show together, so obviously there would have been some sort of like popularity around them. They both avoid conflict as much as possible, and Jonathan's stubbornness annoys Matt. Matt values social life more than Jonathan, which tends to make me think like, the whole popularity side of fame and everything, potentially doing like promotion and like on social media and all of that. Both appreciate aesthetics but have different tastes. Jonathan's sun overlaid in Matt's 7th house. It's love-hate, which I feel like would come from like if they do avoid conflict as much as possible, kind of suggests there is some conflict. So there is love in terms of not really confronting the other, but obviously this potential hate like bubbling underneath. They feel united together and they get in each other's heads. They are deeply moved by each other and they sense that they are complementary, which I feel like would come from like initial first impressions. Like if they both appreciate aesthetics, they probably, present themselves very well, even if it is different way. Probably a sense of this person does kind of like, relate to me, not exactly, but still there. Both subconsciously try to prove they are separate from the relationship. I'm not sure in what way that would be potentially. The whole thing with actors and covering actors, it's you have their sort of like acting personas, but also their characters. With their acting as them as actors, as far as I know, Jonathan, he was in Bridgerton. You see a lot of things with him in that. So I feel like they're not necessarily super tied together in that way. I don't really know much about Matt. But for Jonathan's case, I feel like he has separated himself like quite clearly from someone, living under a rock anyway. They feel the other is a big presence in their life and they need to find balance to make the relationship work, which I feel like is understandable for any TV show because, you have the long hours and everything and it's pretty constant. It's not like a movie where it's going to eventually end as such, is it? They both may be driven to express themselves in extreme ways and possibility of their personalities being lost in the relationship. I mean, that's very clearly with them, obviously their true personalities being lost in the characters and everything. Jonathan's sun is sextile Matt's Jupiter. They are good travel companions and Jonathan energizes Matt. Mutual respect remains after the end. I mean, if they didn't have any issues with each other on like set or anything, I don't see why there wouldn't be mutual respect. And I'm pretty sure the TV show has ended. Gosh, that would be embarrassing. Matt is generous with Jonathan and they both want to make the other happy. Matt opens up new doors for Jonathan. I have no idea in terms of timeline wise when they had the TV show when Bridgerton was there. But just considering like from someone living under a rock again, like all I really know Jonathan is from Bridgerton. I assume, and that kind of like seemed to blow him up and everything. I wonder if maybe even if they were like colleagues or friends before that time, and that's the sort of door that Matt opened up for Jonathan, potentially that's where my brain is going with the real life context I have. But obviously, either way, like having those connections in the industry and like especially if you're civil cordial with someone, I'm sure that would naturally open up those doors anyway. Matt boosts Jonathan's confidence and Matt frequently gives Jonathan the benefit of the doubt. Jonathan's sun opposite Matt's Uranus. Separation occurs, not really surprisingly so, because from what we're seeing so far, they seem to be civil cordial with each other, but with the whole thing how mutual respect remains after the end, and we did see like both of their personalities being lost in the relationship, that kind of strongly indicates to me very like TV show coded or like acting coded, so to speak. They have their project, the personalities are kind of gone, but mutual respect remains after the end. It's an exciting relationship and the relationship starts quickly. Jonathan feels burdened. In what way? Jonathan finds Matt to be insensitive, and Matt will likely feel trapped by Jonathan over time. Interesting turn. Matt's sun is sextile Jonathan's moon. It's an easy friendship and a fulfilling relationship. There is natural compatibility and they are cooperative with each other, which we did see like in the beginning of the reading. Like they do seem to have the differences, but they are like, again, like quite respectful of each other, it seems like, so it's not too surprising. Matt depends on Jonathan's support. Maybe that's how he feels burdened potentially. Jonathan trusts Matt's wisdom. Matt's sun are trine Jonathan's Venus. There's mutual attraction and they both value each other. It's a harmonious relationship and they're financially lucky, which is probably why they would have a fulfilling relationship if they had the successful TV show together. They both share common interests and they accept and tolerate each other. Jonathan is willing to do anything to please Matt, which goes back to the idea we did say they both desire to make each other happy, but also, you know, why he may feel burdened, and we did see how he does give support to Matt, so I assume in that way he's quite open to like doing whatever for Matt through support maybe. Jonathan finds Matt charming and intriguing, and Matt feels more loving and beautiful around Jonathan. Which the last couple notes can be in a platonic way, but also like considering the fact that they're actors, and I'm pretty sure they're in other relationships as well. I wonder if maybe it's their characters that have this, you know, I guess like intrigue and you know, feel more loving, beautiful around the other. Matt's sun are trine Jonathan's Mars. They are supportive of each other. We're seeing again, particularly with Jonathan, and there is healthy competitiveness, which I think would make sense because obviously there would be a level element of competition with these two being in the acting industry. But we did see how it was Matt that opens up new doors for Jonathan, so it does make me think there is this sort of like healthiness to it. They're not necessarily competitive in a way where they're trying to like sabotage the other. Like they respect each other and they do, you know, we saw with Matt, he helps Jonathan. Matt admires Jonathan's drive and courage, and they can deal with challenges together. They encourage the other's goals and visions, which I think they would probably have a similar goal if they were like, you know, in a project together. Jonathan expresses his desire for Matt frequently, which I feel like this would be more related to the TV show, considering I feel like from what I'm gathering from this, like it seems to be very neutral, kind of like respectful, cordial, like colleagueship more than anything else so far. They can express themselves in a straightforward manner, and they can both rely on each other when they are demotivated. Now for the intermission, this video is brought to you by me, my Etsy store, Adeline the Astrologer. If you ever watch this and think, hey, I would like her to read my Synastry chart, well, I will. I do personalized Synastry chart readings on my Etsy store. I do both basic and detailed ones. The basic ones are a bit more simple to understand and really good for those just beginning out in astrology, getting their heads around it, or just as a fun gift idea. The detailed readings are very similar to what I do here, so it's a lot of it just with my insights and interpretation on the chart. So if you're interested in that and everything else, astrology and tarot, readings and gifts, definitely check out my Etsy store for that. I'm always releasing new other things there as well. And you can even just favorite the store just to support me for free. Thank you for listening, and let's get back to the reading. So now it's time for moon. We have Jonathan's moon in Leo and Matt's moon in Libra. They enjoy the other's company and they respect each other. Matt has a problem pleasing Jonathan too much. It seems like it is on both ends though. Like we did see like with Matt opening up new doors for Jonathan. So I wonder if in that way, he's potentially being too accommodating to Jonathan. Like we did see both have a desire to make the other happy. And we did see how Jonathan probably over supports Matt. They both love, which could be characters wise. Also, it could be like as, individuals, because I'm pretty sure they have other relationships outside of this, obviously. If they're not in a relationship together, not too crazy. But potentially they both relate to each other in terms of how they love, like both share similar love languages and they can relate to each other on that. Jonathan doesn't take advantage of Matt's agreeable nature. This is actually a really nice element. They don't seem to like use each other. Like it doesn't seem like this sneaky conniving thing. Like healthy competitiveness really is strong here. Jonathan's moon are overlaid in Matt's 10th house. It's a neutral relationship, also a good way to summarize this relationship. Jonathan feels uneasy around Matt. From what we've seen, I feel like it is mostly around the idea of maybe he's over supporting Matt. But we did see, like just before, he doesn't necessarily take advantage of Matt and everything. Potentially, maybe he feels uneasy with like Matt opening up new doors for him and all of that. I wonder, because I guess that, what's the right word for it, like a sort of sense of like humility, where he doesn't necessarily want to be fed everything on a silver platter, and like maybe there is that sense of discomfort with being helped, that some people have that quality. So I wonder if Jonathan and getting that help from Matt makes him feel uneasy. There are practical reasons for this relationship, and Jonathan feels Matt is selfish. They view each other as a trophy. Jonathan's moon conjunct Matt's Saturn. Jonathan feels an emotional need to maintain long-term commitment. I mean, we did see how Matt feels trapped by Jonathan over time, which we did kind of see for Jonathan as well. I wonder if maybe Jonathan, wants to keep the project going, because it seems like that's kind of where the relationship is. Like career-wise, on this TV show together, the personalities are gone somewhere. Obviously acting. But yeah, I wonder if maybe Jonathan is, trying to extend the show and everything, maybe bringing up new ideas to extend it or something like that, and that's not really making Matt happy. But Jonathan feels that, need to maintain the longevity of the show itself, potentially. It could also be in another way, like if maybe Jonathan gets attached to Matt and maybe wants to continue the friendship outside of the TV show, which from what we've seen, the longevity things, I think the only note we've seen is that, they respect when they finish the relationship. So I wonder if maybe just Jonathan feels that need to like attach and like sort of collect people, so to speak, and he has one of those sort of characteristics. Matt wants to guide Jonathan, and Matt is protective of Jonathan. This is really nice. Like, I feel like that they both seem to be quite, I guess protective might be a bit strong of a word, but they don't want to take advantage of each other, which is nice. Jonathan may either be upset with this help or accepting of it. I feel like it's somewhere, I guess upset would be one way. Like, he could accept it, but with sort of like shame in a way. The relationship is based on mutual respect, and Matt gives practical support rather than emotional support. This makes me think, with what we've seen in these little notes, I think as I said, like Jonathan potentially feels a need to maintain the friendship past the TV show. I wonder if like he could just be a more emotional person, wants to have people in his life and everything, and maintain consistent relationships, which is fine. Also fine is potentially Matt being more sort of like a practical friend. You know how you have those friends you kind of are, it's like a more practical friendship, like you do things for each other, you do favors for each other. Outside of that, it is a bit weird to kind of have a genuine friendship, if that makes sense. So I wonder if Matt, post the TV show, mutual respect is maintained, but Matt is just, more practical with things, to maintain that friendship with Jonathan. He's, helping him out, opening up new doors for him and everything, rather than having like a more genuine friendship, so to speak, if that makes sense. Matt's moon is square Jonathan's Saturn. Matt feels emotionally insecure, and Matt feels judged by Jonathan. Possibility of an awkward relationship, not shocking. And Jonathan sees Matt as needy and oversensitive. Matt's moon is square Jonathan's Uranus. Matt is possessive of Jonathan, and Matt feels emotionally insecure around Jonathan. I mean, I was kind of feeling that, because seeing how Jonathan feels emotional and everything, he has that capacity, and we saw how he feels emotionally insecure just then. It's like, why would you, when it's Jonathan, from what we're seeing so far, quite emotional, or has that capacity anyway. But yeah, if it is just a specific thing around Jonathan, that's all not very shocking. The relationship can begin suddenly. I think we're seeing again, which makes sense. Like, you kind of just show up to work and you're expected to be, not only, I guess, cordial friends and everything, but also I think they did play some kind of romantic partners or love interests on a show together. So that element as well, instantly we're kind of dating. So now it's time for Mercury. We have Jonathan's Mercury in Taurus and Matt's Mercury in Libra. These are, again, ruled by the planet Venus. Jonathan gets impatient with Matt, and Jonathan teaches Matt to be more practical. Matt teaches Jonathan to be open-minded, and they fundamentally communicate the same way. Jonathan's Mercury overlaid in Matt's 7th house. They have an intellectual bond and strong communication. Jonathan finds it easy to communicate with Matt, and Jonathan senses Matt will accept the way he thinks. Jonathan's Mercury opposite Matt's Uranus. Matt finds Jonathan's opinions as superficial and traditional, which we did see. I think we saw like Jonathan tries to influence Matt to be more practical, so I assume potentially more leaning towards traditional. I guess like traditional superficial kind of could fall into like a more like a different side of practicality. Not that it's negative or positive, just a different, light spectrum of it. They can get impatient with each other, and Jonathan finds it hard to depend on Matt. Yeah, I feel like definitely in like a friendship sense, definitely, because it seems like, again, Matt potentially just wants a friendship that is more like favor-based and everything, and like, you know me, I know you scratch my back, I scratch your back sort of thing. But it seems like Jonathan does seem to, would it be open to more sort of deeper friendship? There's stressful communication and interruptive conversations. I mean, quite literally, I'm sure that would happen like with acting, like, they're kind of like acting, the director doesn't like something in sudden cut. That's what my head goes to first. Matt stimulates Jonathan mentally, and they make impulsive decisions together. Matt's Mercury trine Jonathan's Mars. Jonathan stimulates Matt's mind, so we're seeing again that it's a mentally stimulating relationship. So I assume, it could be in the TV show as well, but I'm sure like as acting intellectuals there would be that sort of mental rapport happening. Jonathan energizes Matt, and Jonathan helps Matt develop his ideas. Matt teaches Jonathan how to be more reasonable, and they both move forward in this relationship. Not really surprisingly so, especially for Jonathan. Matt helps Jonathan to problem solve, and they have healthy intellectual competition. They work well together, and they enjoy debating together. Jonathan takes Matt's words personally. Yeah, he seems to be a bit more sensitive, Jonathan, here. Matt's Mercury square Jonathan's Neptune. They think creatively around each other, and they both need to be clearer with communication. Matt misunderstands Jonathan, and Matt sees Jonathan as abstract. I guess, if we are seeing this mix of Jonathan being a bit more sensitive, emotional, and also this contrast thing where he's a bit more practical, maybe even superficial, traditional, potentially Jonathan is giving out mixed messages, which I don't feel like is shocking, because especially if they're in a work context, Jonathan very well could be just putting his best foot forward. He's here to work. He's not necessarily here to be a friend as such. He's here to do his job. So I don't think it's that crazy that he could be giving off mixed messages, because he's at work. He's not necessarily gonna just be bestie mode with Matt. Jonathan sees Matt as practical and logical, and Matt's trust for Jonathan fades. Interesting. Jonathan feels misunderstood by Matt, not surprisingly so, and Jonathan feels limited by Matt. I feel like that would be more so in terms of like limited in the sort of interpretation Matt has of him. So now it's time for Venus. We have Jonathan's Venus in Gemini and Matt's Venus in Virgo. These are both ruled by the planet Mercury. There is mutual mental attraction, and they share ideas together. They are both restless and curious, and it's a flexible relationship. Matt might take Jonathan's jokes too seriously, and Jonathan makes Matt feel appreciated. Jonathan's Venus overlaid in Matt's 8th house. Jonathan is captivated by Matt, and it's a transformative relationship. Jonathan is willing to do anything for Matt, which we did see again, the desire to make each other happy and everything. They both seem to do that for the other. Matt has fantasies specific to Jonathan, which makes me think, obviously they're both actors, and we did see that they do seem to have quite a strong like intellectual mental rapport. So I wonder if maybe Matt has a bit more like ideas of what they could do for the characters and everything. Their Venus signs are squared together. I did forget to mention Gemini, Virgo, yes, both ruled by Mercury, but also mutable signs. They approach love and domestic life in different ways. Yeah, like I think, because we did see they both love and everything. They could just be naturally romantic people. But we did see how they both like appreciate aesthetics just expressed in a different way. This could very well be like with love as well. They both love like romance, whatever, as individuals. They just go about it different ways. They're attracted to their differences, and they have different social needs, which goes back to the beginning. We saw, I think, was it Matt that values social life more than Jonathan. The differences become more obvious over time. Yeah, I think especially like after TV show, like it kind of ends, and the reality of friendship, I feel like that kind of like splits off. Decision making together is complicated and neither know how to please the other, which is interesting because they seem to want to. It just doesn't, I guess, seem to hit that. I think that's like a good theme. Not necessarily good either, but the sort of, I guess, theme for this relationship, you can't really one word it, but it is the things of like they love, it's just different. They both are very aesthetic people, it's just different. Like they seem to do things like the same things. It's like same person, different font. It's what is making me think about. They have different social backgrounds. I mean, Jonathan's British and we have Matt who's American. So outside of that, no idea about their backgrounds, but just that difference is there. It's difficult long term, not surprisingly so, and arguments over money easily occur. They both need to learn to be open, and there's an ability to have an honest and balanced relationship. I think so. It is just either slight conflicts. Jonathan's Venus opposite Matt's Neptune. Jonathan may prefer to idealize Matt, and Jonathan is so caught up in love he doesn't know Matt. I want to skew this a bit because the reason why Jonathan wouldn't necessarily know the real Matt, not so much in love, it is more so in the like acting thing. So I feel like this would be more so Jonathan being caught up in like his craft that he doesn't really know Matt, is what is making me think. Matt doesn't like Jonathan's idealization and Matt needs to be careful of promising too much. I feel like there is a sense with like, there seems to be conflict with Jonathan was, you know, it seems like they did meet on TV and everything, and they did have, and it like Matt was very work oriented and then it seems to be open to like a friendship, but Matt obviously got the wrong impression of that with Jonathan and everything, which we've seen a lot of. But potentially as well, like it seems like Matt had the opposite approach where he wanted a friendship with Jonathan, a genuine friendship with him, but then like after the movie he kind of, I guess like his impression of Jonathan, he's not interested, I'm kind of not cutting him off, but you know, separating myself, you know, making this more practical. That there seems to be conflict in that way. And potentially Matt maybe did make, I don't know, promises like after, like they should, I don't know, continue things or something, which made Jonathan, you know, feel that emotional need to maintain long-term commitment because of those promises. But Matt probably, I guess in his head, withdrew on his promises, considering how he seems to think of Jonathan and the impression Jonathan has created of him. Matt has a hard time being realistic with Jonathan, yeah, kind of what I've been saying, and Matt communicates with Jonathan vaguely, which again makes me think kind of like empty promises, like, oh, we should hang out, but then you never hear from them again, is kind of what I'm feeling from Matt. And Jonathan seems to have like some kind of emotional need to like fulfill those promises. They both find it difficult to stay. Yeah, especially like potentially, because we did see how Jonathan may want to extend this and Matt feels trapped by Jonathan. Neither can define what attracts them to the other. I mean, in real life or, you know, movie-wise, TV show-wise. Lies occur to protect from pain. I mean, going right back to the beginning, like they both avoid conflict. Jonathan's Venus, Trine Matt's Pluto. It's emotionally fulfilling. Maybe it's the TV show. I feel like acting-wise, not so much. So I hope this is the TV show. It's not likely to grow stale, and they both enjoy growing from this relationship. They want to have children together. I mean, considering they're with other people, I have no idea if they have children like as individuals, but I assume this would be more TV show-wise. Jonathan sees Matt as a soulmate, and Jonathan considers Matt irresistible. Again, it makes me think of TV show, considering real-life context. So now it's on to Mars. We have Jonathan's Mars in Aquarius and Matt's Mars in Cancer. Matt is protective of Jonathan, we're seeing again, and Jonathan rebels against Matt. I guess, again, TV show acting. But also, it could be rebelling against Matt's, like, the interpretation that he had of Jonathan, maybe. Jonathan feels trapped by Matt. I mean, yeah, we're seeing again, they both seem to feel a bit trapped by the other. Jonathan has a superiority complex with Matt, and Matt sees Jonathan as cold and detached. Again, we're seeing, yeah, like that's the sort of impression, like, and not, nothing to bag Matt on, I guess, because if Jonathan does come off as cold and detached, obviously he's going to think that of Jonathan. Like, you know, Jonathan's Mars overlaid in Matt's 4th house. Jonathan pushes Matt out of his comfort zone, and Jonathan can't provide the peace Matt wants. Jonathan feels flustered around Matt, and Matt is nurturing to Jonathan, which, yeah, in a way, more practically, but still there. Matt creates a safe space for Jonathan, and arguments are heated due to being defensive and emotional. Jonathan's Mars square Matt's Uranus. It's exciting but unstable, and it's not long term. Yeah, I'm not really surprised. Jonathan gets easily irritated by Matt, and they may encourage the other to be reckless. Matt sees Jonathan as a threat to his independence. Yeah, so I guess like the whole thing with Jonathan wanting emotional long-term commitment seems to be potentially maybe wanting to extend the contract, and maybe, I don't know, Matt had other independent, you know, his own thing rather than like independent movies and such. Probably should make that clarification. But yeah, Matt had his own sort of like gigs and projects he was, you know, potentially had, and Jonathan maybe kind of like sabotaged it in a way, purposely or not. Which probably not more so accidentally, considering we did see they really have that respect for each other. But, you know, Jonathan extending the thing kind of takes Matt away from doing his own thing, if that makes sense. Matt distances himself from Jonathan, as we've been seeing, and Matt triggers Jonathan's temper. Jonathan's Mars sextile Matt's Neptune. Matt fantasizes about Jonathan being dominant. I feel like, again, acting TV sense considering, and I wanted to point this out because we did see before how Matt has those fantasies specific to Jonathan, which again makes me think potentially Matt is more of the like idea person, maybe a bit more creative than Jonathan when it comes to like, you know, acting ideas for these two. Jonathan is captivated by Matt, and Jonathan sees Matt as spineless. The relationship seems unbalanced to outsiders. I mean, all I know is from this reading, and considering that, I guess I kind of see it. Like, it's weirdly balanced, but unbalanced at the same time. Jonathan's Mars trine Matt's Pluto. It's intense, and they accomplish a lot together. They enjoy the power play between them, and there's lots of primitive energy. They both go through big changes here, and there's a potential for both to get possessive. Jonathan helps bring out Matt's subconscious to the surface. Interesting. So that was the final aspect, bringing us to the end of the reading. If you are still watching, please share your thoughts below. I'd be very curious to see what you guys have to say about this one, especially if you interpreted it any differently. I think it was quite an interesting one, actually. And also, if you have watched, you know, these two in the actual TV show, I am curious how much was in the TV show versus like the actors as people. And if you have made it this far, please consider subscribing for more. I post these readings twice a week. And besides that, give this video a like, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!